Welcome to Labor's View. This show is brought to you by the very hard-working and dedicated employees of the Essex County Division of Welfare. They are the members of CWA Local 1081, the Communications Workers of America. I'm David Weiner, president of the local and host of Labor's View. We are today in lovely downtown Trenton, New Jersey, the state capital of New Jersey, and we're here to observe and take part in, frankly, with my red shirt, a protest against the governor and his minions for harassing one of our members, longtime members of a different CWA local, a gentleman named Dudley Burdge. And I'm going to read this to you to show you how ridiculous this situation is and why we're here. In February of 2009, and now it's 2014 as we tape this, Dudley Burdge, a CWA union representative, appointed to work to the State Health Benefits Commission. In other words, he is our union's, the union's representative on the State Health Benefits Commission. Received questions from public workers who had received an unannounced and ambiguous mailing from a private out-of-state company asking for personal information as part of an audit related to their health benefits coverage. Employees were rightfully concerned about suspicious solicitation of Social Security numbers, dates of birth for dependents, as well as copies of marriage and birth certificates. The decision to conduct such an audit had not been discussed with members of the State Health Benefits Commission, upon which Dudley Burdge is, and Burdge was concerned about its authenticity. Following up on employees' legitimate privacy concerns, Burdge called the company via a telephone number provided on the letter. He identified himself as a commissioner, and he sought to obtain information about the audit. Now, this is what happens. A month after Christie, the governor, won election as governor, the state made a formal referral against Dudley to the SEC. The state filed formal ethics charges against Burdge in July of 2011 for making the simple phone call to ask a legitimate question over 2 years earlier. Another charge was later withdrawn after it was clear that it had no merit, but the state refused to drop the charge related to the phone call. Earlier this year, 2014, Dudley Burdge had a hearing before an administrative law judge who found the complaint had no merit and dismissed it. However, after SEC lawyers have incredulously continued to pursue this case by filing exceptions to the same AOL judge's decision, so the SEC, we're saying, shouldn't be wasting their time pursuing a case that's already been decided by a panel of state authorities to have no merit at all. So we're here not only in support of Dudley, but to find out why our brothers and sisters behind us from various unions, in addition to CWA, why they're here to support Dudley as well. So let's hear what they have to say.
Been dismissed by an administrative law judge, and now the State Ethics Commission is going to decide whether or not it's going to accept or reject that decision. So the exact same body that brought the complaint and brought the charges is now going to decide whether or not Dudley was guilty of those charges. Simply put, this is just another way for the administration to exercise intimidation against union people and working people who are fighting to protect the rights of members, and they're trying to use ethics charges and trumped up manufactured ethics charges to quell dissent. So we're here today to support Dudley and call upon the Ethics Commission to do the right thing and drop the charges. Drop the charges! Drop the charges! Drop the charges! Drop the charges! What do we want?
Drop the charges!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Drop the charges!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Drop the charges!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Drop the charges!
And when do we want it?
Now!
How many people here think it would be a better use of time to actually investigate complaints against people who are really guilty of ethics violations?
That's right.
People like David Sampson. A complaint has been filed against David Sampson, and yet this commission has not even acknowledged that it's been filed. David Sampson, whose law firm made millions of dollars while he was chairman of the Port Authority. David Sampson, who oversaw a vote to sell bridge contracts to companies that his law firm represented.
Prioritize.
prioritize the complaints. Dudley makes a phone call, and 5 years later, we're here today to see whether or not he's guilty of those charges.
Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson.
Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson.
Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson. Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson. Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson.
Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson.
Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson. Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson.
Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson. Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson. Investigate Sampson. Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson.
I'm here with Carol Gay, who's president of the Industrial Union Council, whose board I'm proud to be a vice president of. And Carol, why are you here today? Like I didn't know, but tell us.
I'm here to support my friend and brother Dudley Burdge. We're here because this is absurd that the Ethics Commission, the state of New Jersey, is wasting all these resources on someone who is doing their job, protecting the workers. That's all he was doing, was protecting the workers, working on behalf of state workers, public workers, and protecting their benefits, their health benefits. And it's just absurd that they would waste all these resources.
Thank you. I'm here with the man of the hour, Mr. Dudley Burdge, my friend and an expert on so many things, but in particular health benefits, with whom I've gone back and forth almost daily about Medicaid and other issues. Dudley, how do you feel about this turnout for you?
This is tremendous. This is exactly, what union and solidarity is about.
And what do you think will happen upstairs?
I have no idea. The administrative law judge said they should dismiss the charges against me, but, they went to the trouble of having their lawyer file exceptions. They asked their lawyer to file exceptions, and they decide whether they'll accept the exceptions. So, it sounds like a rigged game, and it is. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they come with some kind of penalty and we have to go to another step. But, maybe this demonstration will make them change their mind.
Either way, you're coming out fine in the whole thing. We thank you for your effort.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. Today's CWA and our brothers and sisters throughout the labor movement and our allies are here to make clear an unequivocal statement. We will not permit our representatives to be intimidated or abused by a Christie-rigged ethics committee. Dudley Burdge has worked tirelessly for years for all of us, representing our interests on the State Health Benefits Commission. But he hasn't just kept us informed about what's going on in the commission. Dudley has been the prime source of information throughout the labor movement for all information about health care. And you all know it. You've been getting his emails and his comments letting us know everything there is to know, whether it's about the Affordable Care Act, it's about high pricing in New Jersey. He has been the source of health care information. So in 2009, without any notice to any of the unions, to the Public Employee Committee, to anybody or the commission, the state of New Jersey contracted with a private contractor to conduct an audit of who was in the state health benefits plan. And workers began receiving surveys that they were to fill out with highly personal information on them. And the surveys also included a telephone number. And so Dudley Burdge called the phone number and said, "I don't understand what this is." He asked some questions and he left a message. That is what Dudley Burdge did. So nothing happened for quite a few months. In fact, nothing happened until the Christie administration came into office, when suddenly ethics charges were brought against Dudley for calling up, identifying himself, and asking questions. for more than 4 years, we have spent thousands of dollars in legal representation for Dudley. An ALJ reviewed these charges, and he told the Ethics Commission there is nothing here, but members of the Ethics Commission that brought these charges in the first place are insisting upon pursuing them. And I want to just review how far down the rabbit hole we've gone. Dudley made a phone call. He did not shut down a bridge. Dudley did not make up a bogus traffic study with fake diagrams and testify before the legislature in order to cover up the closing down of the bridge. Dudley never rented a parking deck for $1, and he never represented both sides of a development scheme. Dudley never gave a contribution to the Republican Governors Association and then got a $300 million pension investment. He did none of those things. What exactly did Dudley do? Dudley made a phone call. Drop the charges against Dudley. Investigate the Christie administration.
Dudley, as many of you know, as Heidi mentioned, Dudley is a member of the State Health Benefits Commission. He's a representative from the Public Employee Council of the New Jersey State AFL-CIO. And I'm happy to have Charlie Mechanic, the president of the New Jersey AFL-CIO here. Charlie had fought long and hard to get representation on that committee so that we would have access and a voice at that table. And Charlie has been standing with us throughout this fight through these years. And so I'd like to ask Charlie to come up and say a couple of words.
Thank you, Patrick. Brothers and sisters, we're here today to support one of our own, Dudley Burdge. You heard Hetty outline the incredible things that are going on here. You know, here's someone that really is just standing up for what's right. We need to know who has our phone numbers and who's calling and checking on who we are and what we're doing. That's our information. That should be something that we should know in advance. This has been going on since the beginning of this administration, where they do what they want and how they want, and it's wrong. You know, we're here in our state where unemployment is at an all-time high. Look at what's going on in our inner cities. Job creation, or the lack of, our educational system and the fights that we're in. Some of our schools. With all of these important issues that our state and our citizens are facing, we're here today because Dudley made a legitimate phone call about something that he had every right to do. So on behalf of the State Federation, we're going to stay with Dudley, with all of you. Thank you for coming out. We're going to stay with Dudley until we see this to the end. This is clearly nothing more than a witch hunt. This is nothing more than a witch hunt, and ultimately where they're going is they want to remove him from this commission. That's what this is all about. He didn't commit a crime. So we're going to fight this thing to the end. And let's stand with our brother Dudley Burdge. Dudley!
Great, thank you,
PIN.
Thank you, Charlie.
Here.
In addition to what we've talked about today, here's Dudley. Let's have a round of applause for Dudley. Dudley's going to make a statement before he heads upstairs.
First, thank you all for coming. This is what Solidarity is about. This is great. Look, I think people have kind of covered it. I mean, I really think there's two things going on here. One, you know, we talked to the longtime ethics people. I called Bill Schluter, who's kind of well known as Mr. Ethics. And here's what he told me. He said, look, I don't know anything about your situation particularly, but I can tell you that in this administration, things come from the front office. Now, I can't believe they know me that well. And there, you know, I don't hang out with them a lot. But, you know, I've got that CWA and that AFL-CIO by my name. And you have to believe that's what's happening. And this is just something, like Hetty said, to make us spend a lot of money, spend a lot of time. That's the one thing. The other thing is this is something they want people on these boards. They're going to do exactly what they want. They're not going to ask too many questions. About, what was it, 2 months ago, they had a vote on the Pinelands Commission about putting a pipeline through the Pinelands. They attempted to intimidate the Pinelands Commission. They told one of the commissioners there that he was going to be in an ethics violation if he voted on it. It didn't work there. I can tell you because I go to the state health plan design committee that Hetty and others are on, and you know they always kind of do this thing of, well, be careful what you say, because you know it could be an ethics violation. That essentially, if you talk about you know how you spend $6 billion, you know it could be a problem. So you know that's what this is about today. Those two things, that we need people who are going to be representatives on these commissions, and we need them to be able to function. And that's what this is, the whole thing is about.
Thank you, Dudley.
Standing up for working people. Stand up for the workers! Stand up for
And so, well, the State Ethics Commission has had these charges around for nearly 5 years. Even though an administrative law judge ruled that these charges should be dismissed, they're more interested in continuing to pursue charges against Dudley Burdge for making a phone call, instead of actually addressing charges that were filed a short time ago against David Sampson. And I'd like to ask New Jersey Working Families Executive Director Ana Lilia Mejia to come up and say a few words about that complaint. Ana Lilia.
Good morning.
Sampson, that family should be investigated.
Exactly right, brother. So we find it incredible that the Ethics Commission has the time to persecute a regular, hard-working labor leader and does not have the time or thinks it doesn't have the authority to investigate someone who has violated continuously the public trust. It is absolutely ridiculous that in our state we would allow for someone to utilize their public position to enrich their clients, to enrich their cronies, and it happens continuously in New Jersey. So we at the New Jersey Working Families, we believe that it is time that we call the question, that we not only say you need to drop the bullshit charges, and you need to ensure that you're actually persecuting and actually doing the right, the job that you have been elected, positioned, appointed to do. So that's everybody, from the governor, who is the highest holding officer for our state, who is responsible to who? To us, and every member of that commission. And if they have a conflict of interest, we say you need to recuse yourselves. That may be everybody in the state of, in Chris Christie's administration, by the way. So we are here with our brothers and sisters. We're here with our brother Dudley, and we are calling the question continuously. That is what New Jersey Working Families does. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Demonstration now is coming to a close in a few minutes because it's 5 of 10, and this hearing upstairs is this BS, as they said earlier, hearing against Dudley Burdge by the state and by the governor will start at 10 o'clock or thereabouts. We'll wait to see what the outcome is, but the one thing is sure, that all of labor in New Jersey, in particular his own union, CWA, is behind Dudley Burdge, and all citizens in this state should be behind Dudley Burdge, because Dudley Burdge did for what he did for his members and for all public employees, what every member of the public should want. You don't want some company that you don't know who it is, alleging to be a company, calling you up on the telephone and asking you for your social security number, your marriage certificate, birth certificates. You don't even know these people, and you were never warned in advance by any authorities that these calls would be made. So you would naturally go to your representative, if you had one. In that case, it's Dudley, and Dudley made one phone call in 2009. And as soon as Christie gets into office in 2000, a year or so later, in 2011, what happens? They bring up these bogus charges. The charges are thrown out by a judge, and then Christie appeals to his own commission, which just says, oh yes, okay, we're going to hear it. So either way, whether they rule for or against Dudley, the unions are behind him, will continue to be behind him, and we know that in the end, we will prevail.
I think it's pretty obvious that we all deserve to have faith and know that the State Ethics Commission, the body that is responsible for investigating ethics complaints, is actually doing the right thing, right? Not holding out charges for over 5 years, right, against somebody who is an outspoken advocate for working people. And what's going to happen upstairs today is that this commission is going to meet in secret, right? And they're going to deliberate these cases in secret, and then at the end, they'll tell us what they decided. So for those of you that want to join us in holding this commission accountable and make them answer to us and make them see us, we're going to go upstairs at 10 o'clock, and we are going to wait for them to make a decision about Dudley, and then we are going to demand to know what they are doing about the Sampson complaint. So I invite all of you to join us up there at 10 o'clock. For now, let's continue. Send the message. Drop the charges. Drop the charges. Drop the charges. Investigate Sampson.
On whether to issue a complaint on an allegation is solely that of the commission. It's not made by the executive director, it's not made by the deputy director, it isn't made by the staff people. The volunteers sitting around this table, and by the way, with the exception of the executives, we also have one other paid member sitting at the table, and that's our council. But other than those three individuals, those people sitting around this table talk about the matters that are presented to us. We have open and frank discussion, and we decide how the matter is going to be dealt with. The matter could end up in a trial before the Office of Administrative Law. The Commission has no control over the schedule or the length of time that may expire between the time that a matter can't be resolved before this body and when it might be tried before the Office of Administrative Law. What we do is we present the matters when they're ready for presentment and not before. And the people, as I've said, sitting at this table take those responsibilities very seriously and are not going to be swayed in the procedures that we follow that are statutory and required by information that is presented to the press that, for the most part, as it relates to the procedures followed by this commission, have been less than accurate. I also think it's important for me to say a couple of other things. In addition to the commissioners who sit at this table and volunteer their time, which is a significant commitment to this commission, a little bit about how we handle things rather than what you might necessarily read. So with that being said, I have one other announcement before
Excuse me, are you going to take public comments since you spent 15, 20 minutes lecturing people and using this opportunity to give your view? Are you going to allow for public comment?
This is not the forum by which public, excuse me, ask me a question, can I respond?
I'll be glad to ask a lot of questions. You gave an entire lecture
And
and
that
got
is
your
my prerogative
opportunity.
as the chair of this commission.
Okay, so I'm asking, this is my prerogative as a member of the
The
public.
answer is
Are
no.
you going to take public
No.
comment? Why? How do you think that's, do you
Because
consider
this
that
is not-
your role in terms of transparency? Don't
I
you
think
you have some responsibility?
considering according to your own clauses, to your own law, you are supposed to, when you receive a complaint, you are supposed to assign a number. You're supposed to file it in record. You are supposed to at least try to give some of this information. We are clear as to what your responsibilities are. You omit some clear pieces, including giving a filing number, citing which investigators supposedly investigating our complaints, and yet we get none of that. And it's curious that you omit that very clear piece. Why is that?
First of all, I just told you, I told the woman in front of you, and I'm having difficulty seeing you behind that chair.
Well, you placed it there, but we'll gladly.
Excuse me,
I'll stand.
but this is what I've said to her, and you can take your seat because I'm not
You said you couldn't
here
see me.
to
Right.
answer public comment, is that this is not a Board of Ed meeting. This is not a meeting where the public is given an opportunity to bring up any issue
Why
they
not?
want. I am here.
You deal with
to
matters of the public
Excuse me,
trust.
Excuse me. Can you show me a little bit of respect, please?
Gladly. If you can
Then
show New
please-
Jerseyans enough respect and the
no.
public trust respect, I
No,
will
what
gladly
I'm
give
gonna
you
do
respect.
is run the State Ethics Commission meeting in the manner in which the statute requires that I do so. This is not a forum for public comment unless
You seem to
that
be
public,
very familiar with
excuse
the
me.
statute. Did you read the statute
Yes.
when you held the Rutgers position in
Okay.
violation of that
After
statute?
receiving the complaint, the commission should have assigned a case number and initiated a preliminary.
Were you familiar with
And
that
I'm not
portion
here to
of the
answer your
statute?
question.
Of course you're not. Complaint was brought against you last meeting. I was here at the last meeting. There were no press here. But I watched that complaint get dismissed because you resigned that other position. Were you not familiar with that part of the statute?
All right. I move that the open session be recessed. I don't-
Well, as we almost predicted, but are now very happy to know that the charges against Dudley are over. This whole charade is over, and he will not be fined, and they won't try to take him off the commission, and we will still have the most quality representative on the State Health Benefits Commission that the unions could ever have, and that is Dudley Burdge.
I have a voice. My union speaks for me.